This show is brought to you by Beco Dairy Automation. You have tuned in to the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all dairy connection. We call it the Dairyman source for news, ideas, information, and technology, mixed with a double dose of current market conditions. The what, the why, and the how things influence the amount of money dairy producers receive for their daily milk deliveries. We offer this daily news hour magazine as a catalyst for long-term dairy producer sustainability. We invite every dairy producer in America to get their daily dose of what can be done and what they can do to achieve and maintain profitability on their farms. $22 for 36 months is our goal. We advocate there is a way forward. We invite dairy producers to come listen, learn, and participate. This is a no-complaint zone. We talk solutions. So get out your pen and paper. And now, here's your host of the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, Mr. Tom Van Nortwick, owner of Agribusiness Publications, publisher and editor of the Agribusiness Dairyman magazine.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Stuart, for our introduction this morning. My name is Tom Van Nortwick with Agribusiness Publications. We are a media company engaged in the opportunity given to us to work with different segments of the dairy industry. And on this morning, here it is already the 15th of March, 2016, and we find the dairy industry at this particular time in quite a state of turmoil relative to the price of milk being paid to dairy producers. And I hope that in your part of the world, you're enjoying as beautiful a spring morning as we are here in California. Sunny. We've had rain this spring, and winter finally in California. What a blessing that is. Things do change and evolve and get better. But what is interesting in this process of water here in California is, so what will we do with what we have? And I in reading the news of the morning in the dairy industry, and there's a lot of it in just one bit of that we receive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, as at least 15 different articles from all over the world talking about what's happening in dairy in those parts of the country, here in the U.S. and around the world. What's interesting to see is that everyone has these projections of what will be and what will come about in the days and weeks, months, years ahead. A lot of long-term forecasting. We ourselves have what we call the 2020 agenda. And if you visit our website at my-dairyman.com, you'll find that 2020 agenda, my-dairyman.com. And the effort that we put forward is all based upon the important effort that should be underway to sustain the producer sector of the dairy industry. We're in the media business. We sell advertising for a living. In addition to this foray into the happenings of the dairy industry, but the advertisers to the dairy industry, or that support our magazine, I should say, the advertisers for our magazine, are all dependent upon the success and viability, the profitability of dairy producers. And so we find that we are inseparably connected to what dairy producers get paid. And that, we have learned, is no small or simple thing that determines what a dairyman receives for the milk that they produce. And so we have found, as we have investigated and worked with and talked to dairy producers and others in the industry, that there are almost opposing factors. This morning, if you read, just for instance, Westpac flags the yuan devaluation, risk for New Zealand trade and foreign investment. Dairy Co-op Murray Goldburn, is advancing plans to build a $300 million powder factory. They're going to go after the infant formula. All the different segments who process and manufacture dairy products are always, and this is just one little article on one little day in March 2016 that indicate there's investments always going on, and there would have to be in the sector of the industry that processes the milk after it's produced by a dairy producer, a dairyman. And their capacities and efficiencies are critical in their world. They want to make as much milk in process as much milk, I should say, in the time they're given with the equipment they have. And even dairy producers, especially when you get to the larger producers, what about my efficiencies? I find that my farm works best with this many cows. And we found out that last week, 24%, 16% more efficient. That's a lot of efficiency. When you can get a dairy to work that well, based solely on the number of cows you're milking with your infrastructure and what works best for your farm. And a lot of the dairymen know it, what works best for their farm. And so they're in the process of making more milk. The co-ops and the processors and the manufacturers are in the business of processing as much milk, and unfortunately, when we end up with a situation like we have right now, where demand is down, then we've got some real pressure on what dairy producers get paid. And so what we're going to see now, and it's interesting because the European Union cuts to milk, they're saying this morning, not a return to quotas, says Minister of Agriculture. And this article out of the EU by Suzanne Lynch and Aaron Burke-Kennedy say the following. It says, European Commission to allow member states to curb production on a voluntary basis. And the EU Agricultural Commissioner Phil Hogan has sanctioned a temporary reduction of cuts to milk production, reintroduction of cuts to milk production in the European Union in response to falling prices in the dairy sector. Now, can you imagine that? Under a proposal agreed at a meeting of EU agricultural ministers in Brussels, this is taking place this week there in Europe, the European Commission will allow member states to curb milk production on a temporary and voluntary basis, but it stressed that this did not signal a return to EU milk quotas, which were abolished last year. And then under response, it goes on to say, while the government was strongly against any changes to milk supply as a response to the crisis in dairy prices, Minister for Agriculture Simon Coveney said he welcomed the fact the new measure would be voluntary and not draw on EU funding. Oh, no kidding. They do not, because he had two choices, get him to cut production or he's going to have to come up with bucks to sustain the dairymen who are getting their butts kicked in the price war, because of oversupply, dropping demand, low price. And they do not constitute a return to quotas, they said, and both the Commission and the Presidency were crystal clear on this point, adding that he did not expect Ireland to participate in the scheme. I love these words, schemes. And Ireland would be like that, of course. The move, and the sad part about Ireland is they're up 17%. They're really falling off the bus. But they're not getting paid any higher a price for their milk than is anyone else, although they're doing a good job of chasing. They're going out even into, Iran and other places. They're out there banging on the doors. The move to allow member states to cut milk production comes amid intense pressure from France, which has called on the European Commission to intervene to tackle the slide in milk prices. Farmers across the EU have seen a sharp fall in milk prices, partly due to the abolition of quotas last year. Partly due. Wrong. It's totally in response to supply versus demand. But nobody will say that. Speaking from Brussels, Irish Farmers Association Chairman Ger Bergen said Mr. Coveney must reject the notion that progressive Irish and European dairy farmers are the main cause of the dairy market imbalance. He said the downturn was due to a multitude of global demand, China, Russia, low oil prices, and supply factors, which have coincided with the end of milk quotas. Yes, it's just a timing issue. He's right about that. But how do you respond? From the producer sector, Mr. Bergen, how should you respond? With the cost of production in Ireland put at 25 cents a liter, 25 cents a liter before labor costs, many farmers are now only breaking even on milk. Ireland, Britain, Denmark, and the Netherlands were among those who opposed any changes to milk supply as an answer to the price crisis. Other measures agreed yesterday include the doubling of the intervention ceilings for skim milk powder and butter. See, the dairymen have been on welfare for too long there. They've forgotten about being independent and self-reliant. They have to be responsible. And it's nice they can say this. And oh, no, you're in the government, so you're supposed to fix this problem. Well, and it's, they're always pointing at China, Russia, low oil prices, the dollar, the European Union, the currency in the EU. All of these factors happen to coincide with quotas being eliminated in the European Union. 29 million cows, guys, is a problem. 29 million cows. And so plenty of indication that there is more than enough reason for dairy producers to be coming up with a different way to go forward. And they need to be involved in that process. And somebody finally woke up and said, you know what, it would be a whole lot cheaper. And we advocate this to the U.S. producers. It's a whole lot cheaper not to make it. And there's a whole lot of savings that can be garnered by dairy producers by not making too much milk. Just the savings alone would be worth tackling. But what's more important is that you could get a 40, 50, 60, and even 100% increase in milk price if dairy producers were production responsive relative to profitable demand. No quotas, no demands, this is voluntary. But you have to be smart enough to know that you got to go voluntary. You can't afford to not provide an opportunity for survival. Okay, and so we're going to see the global dairy trades coming up already. It's going auction could be up 1 to 5%. I hope so, but I doubt it. But it'll probably go up a little bit. Hopefully, it can't go any lower. Okay, and so the European numbers, how much has it gone up? Their total has gone up 5%, but you have to understand, gang, that's 5% of 29 million cows. That's a whole lot of milk. The U.S. milk herd is 9.4, give or take a little. It's a big number, 5% of 29 million cows. That's 3 times the size of the U.S. herd. Now, granted, they don't give as much milk per cow, but it's still huge, okay? Let's see what here's another twist on the same article. The European Union voiced support on Monday, the 14th of March, for temporary cuts in milk production by farmers in member states in a bid to reverse the plunge in prices that has shaken the dairy industry. The European Commission, the executive of the 28-nation bloc, said it would soon send member states the proposal, which is required as an emergency exemption to rules guaranteeing economic competition. overproduction of milk since EU quotas were abolished in April 2015 triggered a collapse in prices that have not recovered despite a $500 million aid package announced in September. Okay, so they came to their rescue a long time ago already, but of course it's not enough. The government can't throw enough money down to fix, and shouldn't be responsible for throwing money down to fix an imbalance in trade, supply versus demand. By the way, it's just not what we should be doing with tax dollars. I am prepared to propose the application of such rules whereby the Commission would decide to permit on a temporary basis such voluntary agreements for the dairy sector. EU Agricultural Commissioner Phil Hogan told a crisis meeting of agriculture ministers in Brussels. We read that, know a little bit about that already. Hogan, a former Irish environmental minister, acknowledged the depth and duration of the crisis when he joined the emergency ministerial meeting, the second in 6 months. Belgium's involved, of course. The Belgium not willing to participate, but or as like the Irish and the Netherlands, a little more independent than some of the other EU producers. We need price increases for the EU to buy back excess produce, he said, or production, he should say. We must fight the invisible hand of the market. Okay. But the revenue, we need price increases. The revenue has to come from the fact that you short the market with your production. There's no way. There's no other way, because demand's not going to come back that fast. We're not going to solve this thing in Russia, short term and even long term. And the relationships with China are getting a little more rocky all the time. The commissioner said he would fully consider backing other measures that have broad support, like allowing member states to help individual farmers by up to $15,000 per year. You know what? Giving a dairy farmer $15,000 a year is like, spitting in the wind. Sorry. There is no magic bullet, the article says, citing broad support. He also proposed temporary doubling the size of private storage for skim milk powder. See, more government regulation and involvement, when that is exactly the worst possible thing that we could be doing. Okay, we need to join Mr. Ron O'Brien this morning, and hang on while we get that done. We'll be back in a minute, by the way, just for doing this better than we've done it before. This is the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all-dairy connection.
Hello, I'm Eva Strang, Education Coordinator for the Allied Milk Producers. Cereal and milk have always been a mainstay for breakfast, at least since 1882. That's when the first commercially manufactured cereal was made by Henry Perky. It was called shredded wheat, and it's still with us today as one of the most popular cereals. Remember, breakfast is probably the most important meal of the day, and a good breakfast includes nutritious dairy foods like milk on cereal. A good way to start the day.
Is your milking equipment holding your dairy back? Are you still milking with 5/8-inch dairy equipment that became popular 35 years ago? Your dairy's production and milking goals have changed. Shouldn't your dairy equipment be able to meet the same goals? Beco Dairy Automation can help with industry-leading, innovative dairy equipment that eliminates all restrictions in the milk path of your milking parlor. Eliminating the restrictions in the milk path improves production, milking flow rates, parlor throughput, and ultimately better udder health for your cows. Beco Dairy Automation is your partner for success, delivering unrestricted, durable, and profitable milking equipment to today's commercial dairy. To learn more, call us today at 1-800-344-7166 or check out our website at www.becoknows.com.
Now, one of the things that we hear a lot that has come up over and over as we've watched these, the bantering back and forth about whether the supply should be moderated voluntarily, however it must be done. And there's plenty of reasons why.
Starbucks.
Hang on, I've got to pop up there right in front of us.
Amount of room.
Okay, so that's an ad for you to all have a Starbucks this morning. Just to help you out there with that. But the point that we want to make about this is that everyone says that they want, and this is what this one minister in Ireland has to say about this. And it's an unbelievable, but I can understand that it's not easy to gear up in the dairy world to make more milk. But quite frankly, the milk production numbers are something that we should be. The fact is that it is what it is, and there should not be a very dramatic or overwhelming response to higher prices no matter what. You just have to take advantage of the fact that they're going up and sit tight. Can production ease up? Yes, possibly so. But here's what this minister had to say. Now, this is our guy Simon Coveney, and he's in the Irish Examiner. He said this: Irish farmers will not receive compensation for the drop in milk prices, although they can avail of other measures that should help, according to Agriculture Minister Simon Coveney. Dairy farmers in a number of other EU countries may be compensated by their national governments by up to $15,000 a year on a temporary basis. In addition, farming organizations may arrange for a cut in milk production by farmers who are hard-pressed to find markets for their produce, according to proposals from European Agriculture Commissioner Phil Hogan. Now, when people say produce in California, we're talking about fruits and vegetables, but it's just the way they use their words. They're talking about their milk production, of course. He has been under pressure from French and other governments to help farmers who have watched the bottom fall out of their milk market at a time when the 30-year-old quota system was abolished. And it just was a perfect storm. I guarantee you it wasn't just the quotas, that's true, being reduced, but the quotas and the abolishment of the quotas at this particular time, or more important than that, not the quotas. Let's eliminate the quota issue and just say the increase in milk production by the EU, 29 million cows, has greatly contributed to the problem in milk prices. Most of the rise in milk production over the past year has come from Irish and Dutch farmers. Mr. Coveney said that Irish farmers were not pushing for quotas to be reduced, having prepared for 4 years to compete in a market where there were not restraints. I want to see Irish farmers ready to take advantage of an improving milk price that we will see in time, and they will be very well placed in however many months that happens, he said. Oh my goodness. And so you can see how that attitude of yeah, you're at a perfect time. So that at 10, 20, 30% of the time you're making some pretty decent money on a big volume, but 70% of the time you're losing money, a lot of money on a big volume, and you're paying for the privilege to do it. That makes absolutely no sense. He welcomed a series of other measures that Commissioner Hogan announced, including a doubling for skim milk powder and butter intervention. See, again, aid to cheese storage, new export credit tools, and new aid for private storage for pigment, whatever is pigment. The president of the ICMSA, John Comer, said they did not object to a subsidy being paid to farmers not to produce milk, but it must be voluntary. No, you don't pay a subsidy. You just don't produce it. You save the money. The farmer gets paid because he doesn't make the milk. He gets paid because the prices are not in the toilet. How hard is this, everybody? Good grief. They would have preferred a combination of a raised intervention.
Today we're going
We've
to
got
start
the
at
dry powder trade.
74.5 cents a pound.
30 seconds till we open. be open. Yeah, no markets here to start. Nothing posted, no bids, no offers. The settlement was 74.5. 15 seconds in, nothing posted. 73.25 bid on one by PPT. I'll offer one at 75 even. 75 even offer by SAW. Two at 75 even. All right, I joined the offer 2 times. Total of 3 offers. BLT offers 1 at 75 even. 74.5 offer 2 on. 74.5 offer 2 times by Abby. 73.75 bid on 1 by SAW. 375 bid by SAW. 74.5 offer 2 times by Abby. I'll offer 4.5 left. 74.5 offer by SAW 1 time. Total of 3 offers at 74.5, and we're coming up to the call here. BLT 20 offer at 74.5. 4 offer, 4.5. What's the call? First call. 74.25 offer by SAW. Heavy sells at 1 at 73.75 to SAW. 73.25 bid on 1 by PDT. 73.25 bid on 1 by PPT. 74 even offer by SAW. Posted. First call. Second call. Third. Close. All right, so we're going to settle right there at 73.75. Down 75. Just the 1 load traded.
Move over, Manny, Mo, and Jack. For quick, convenient auto service and no appointment needed, ask for G Express service from Gorpetti Automotive in Visalia. We'll guarantee an oil and filter change in as little as 39 minutes. And there's more. Need your tires rotated? A brake job? Even a 15,000-mile service? There's no appointment necessary, and we'll guarantee your service time. G Express. It's a new level of convenience you'll only find at Gorpetti Automotive.
Is your milking equipment holding your dairy back? Are you still milking with 5/8-inch dairy equipment that became popular 35 years ago? Your dairy's production and milking goals have changed. Shouldn't your dairy equipment be able to meet the same goals? Beco Dairy Automation can help with industry-leading, innovative dairy equipment that eliminates all restrictions in the milk path of your milking parlor. Eliminating the restrictions in the milk path improves production, milking flow rates, parlor throughput, and ultimately better udder health for your cows. Beco Dairy Automation is your partner for success, delivering unrestricted, durable, and profitable milking equipment to today's commercial dairy. To learn more, call us today at 1-800-344-7166 or check out our website at www.becoknows.com.
All right, there we have the dry powder trade this morning, March 15th, 2016. You are listening to the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine, your 1-hour all-dairy connection. We've been carrying on this morning, of course, about what's going on in the European Union and in other parts of the world, the perfect storm that has been created by so many factors that you can't even count them on 2 hands, for crying out loud, that are affecting the milk price paid to dairy producers. What we continue to advocate in this, as we review these individual cases in these individual countries of what's going on and what the leaders are doing, it becomes very clear that there are no easy solutions. There's no magic potion. There's no pill that we can swallow. There's only the market. In the end, there is only the market. And I listen to dairy producers here in the U.S. advocate for a free market system all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so in a free market system, people who are making products, goods, and services and bringing them to the market can make several different choices. They can bring less to the market. They can charge more for it. They can charge less for it. There's lots of determinations that can be made by the suppliers. Right now, OPEC has made a determination that they're going to maintain a fairly high supply of oil, even though they're not getting much money for it. And that's kind of it's the craziest thing we've ever seen, quite frankly. The low fuel prices that have come about in the United States and around the world as a direct result that the suppliers of oil have said we're not going to cut back relative to profitable demand or demand. Now, in their world, what's profitable? And I get this all the time, too, with dairy producers. Well, I'm still profitable at this price. We're still doing okay. And I go, oh, man, higher prices are just better. Sorry. But nobody died in 14. There were some, there were dairy producers who left the industry even in 14. But it was a direct result, I believe, of some who just simply said, you know what, I'm going to get back to break even. I'm going to get back to, I'm going to pay this down. It depends on how in debt they were and how much they needed to retool. Lots of issues. But in 14, when milk prices were at record levels because the supply and demand numbers were more imbalanced, and that's literally what fueled it, a perfect storm up instead of this perfect storm down. And so as we watch the buying and selling, and today one in the CME, you're not going to change what's going to go on at the CME today. One truckload of butter down, not butter, dry powder. One truckload was bought and sold, and the price of powder falls. And why? Because there's just too much, and there's more being made every single day. And we're coming into spring flush in the United States. It's not going to be maybe quite as impactful, but the last many months have been impacted by the fact that we've had mild winters in some parts of the country compared to normal. And it has not impacted milk production. And so we've already got a lot of milk. We're about to get a lot more. And the question is, okay, so what will that do? When you've got producers in the European Union and other parts of the world that are making the equivalent of $9 U.S., then we've got some serious concerns, and dairy producers should be seriously concerned, and I know their bankers are, I know their vendors are, we all are, because we're connected. In 2014, $14 billion did not come into the farm economy in the hands of dairy producers nationwide, so $100 billion. The economy, the ag sector, was shorted $100 billion in 15 compared to 14. That impacted all of us. And so, we've got a lot of people. Here's this article, and you don't think it's a big deal, but it's the article, and it's fun to read these, and I've just taken to doing it and want to pass it along to dairy producers because you've got to know that there's more out there than just making the milk. Okay, we've got to do our level best to be market responsive so that you can achieve and maintain price. Now, here's this article, and we're going to be joining the butter trades here in just a few minutes, so I'll run through this fast. Is Dairy John Keyes think big? It is too big to fail. Is it a security risk? Take the last first. The New Zealand Herald, Claire Trevett, quoted Sir Michael Cullen saying at the media briefing on his spying report that he had told Canberra spies Australians were New Zealand's biggest security risk. Fruit flies, he explained. Sir Michael's acute, edgy wit usually carries a part cargo of truth. Okay. Now, understand that this is daring too big to fail, is the article. Okay, and it's opinion piece. It's a commentary, so it's a little, and because it's New Zealand and Australian from down under, you're going to. This is going to be a little bit tongue in cheek. That would shake our economic security. Put that alongside the threat from Islamic jihadists. Since 9/11, rich world politicians have progressively subordinated, and I've got to get this to where I can read it, Progressively subordinated personal liberties to security from jihadists. Wow, are we going to get to the milk here sometime? The panic as the dairy plunge chips at economic security. Oh, I see. Well, that's an interesting perspective, though. The panic reached the top shelf last week. Fonterra told characters they must wait 90 days to be paid. Fonterra can do that, in effect, immoral act with impunity.
Butter, $1.94.
It is the big guy, and contractors are small guys. Okay, so we'll cover this. We're going to go to the butter trade.
Butter settled at $1.94 even.
It's a bull. It's a bull. It's a bull.
All right, count up in the open here. Settle at 194 even in butter. We're open. $191 even bid on one by GTL. 191 even bid on one. No offers here. Section 191 even bid by GTL, no offers. 196 even offer by T. 196 even offer by T. 191 even bid.
Ronnie, everything live is on the view. But I told him that I need to know exactly the offer.
30 seconds to the call here. 191 even bid, 196 even offer. 95 and a half offer by Trev. 195 and a half offer by Trev. BGM joins the offer at 95 and a half. Kulos offered at 95 and a half. So 191 even bid by JTL. We got 10 seconds till the call. 95 even offer by Trev. 4 even offer by Trev. Steady offer by Trev. 91 even bid by GTL. BGM joins the offer at 94. 2 offered at 194. First call. Second call. 375 offer by Trev. Posting. First call. Second call. 93 and a half offer by Trev. Test joins the offer at 3 and a half. 2 loads offered at 93 and a half. So 191 even bid by GTL. We're posting. First call. Second call. 3 and a quarter offer by Trev. Posting. First call. Second call. Third. 3 even offer by Trev. 193 even offer. Still 191 bid. We're down a penny on the day. Posting. First call. Second call. Third. 275 offer by Trev. Posting. First call. Second call. Third. 92 and a half offer by Trev. 91 and a quarter bid on one by KPC. 92 even bid on one here by Prosy. half offer. 192 even bid by Rosie. Posting. First call. Second call. Third. Rosie buys one at 92 and a half. 92 and a half trade here. Still 191 and a quarter bid by KBC. No offer right now. 91 and a quarter bid. 92 and a half bid on one by Proceed. Posting. First call. Second call. Third. Third and final call. Closed. All right, so we're going to close right there at 92 and a half. Down $1.50. One load traded. Rosie tried to buy an offer that just wasn't theirs.
As dairy farmers watch profits slip away and a wonderful way of life painfully comes to an end for future generations, Dairy Pricing Association sees a brighter future simply by having a solution. These dairy pricing farmer members in 10 states and growing have figured out a way. Government handouts are not the answer. It's time for farmers to take matters in their own hands. Dairy Pricing Association is asking for farmers to contribute 10 cents per hundredweight to buy surplus dairy products to create a floor price, as well as helping relieve hunger in America. This is a win-win. As dairy farmers, we watch markets fluctuate as much as $4 per hundredweight in 1 month's time. 10 cents is nothing. Imagine being able to curb another 2009 scenario simply by controlling the floor price that you need as a dairy farmer to stay in business. With the dairy products that you as a dairy pricing member purchase, thousands of people are fed. No government assistance is needed. Rather, simply you as a dairy farmer are helping yourself by helping others. For more information, visit online dairypricing.org.
Are you restricting the profitability of your dairy herd? Beco Dairy Automation can help with industry-leading, innovative dairy equipment that eliminates all restrictions in the milk path of your milking parlor. Beco Dairy Automation is your partner for success, delivering unrestricted, durable, and profitable milking equipment to today's commercial dairy. To learn more, call us today at 1-800-344-7166. Check our website at becoKnows.com.
All right, there we have our butter trades for the morning, March the 15th, 2016. You're listening to the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine. Thank you for joining us. We have been talking a lot about the advance warning as things to come from the signals coming from outside of the United States. The European Union and others are suffering and have been suffering for quite a bit longer than U.S. dairy producers. And so this article coming out of an opinion piece written in Australia, I believe, is an interesting bit of writing that I would recommend everyone read. But I'm going to cover it for just a minute. But there's some things, some big words here. But they're talking about the fact that Fonterra's decided not to pay their vendors for 90 days. Okay, the panic reached the top shelf last week. Fonterra told contractors that they must wait 90 days to be paid. Fonterra can do that, the opinion goes on to say, that in effect immoral act, they called it, with impunity, because it is the big guy and contractors are the small guys. The power is asymmetrical, similar to that between employer and employees. Hence unions, minimum wages, safety laws, bottom-up drives for a living wage, and successfully. I should get that where I can read it better. And bottom-up drives for a living wage and successfully to outlaw 0 hours contracts. And, of course, this is labor is promising, and they have, of course, factions and different political parties there. Labor is promising contractors protection from slow payment. Beleaguered dairy farmers are small, banks are big. Some banks will expropriate some dairy farmers. That number will climb as the crisis lengthens. Bill English blandly said farmers made business decisions to take out their now crippling loans. They and the banks will work it out, and it is in the bank's interest to do so. On Sunday, Mr. English flatly ruled out a bailout, but would so many farmers have taken such big risk if Mr. English and company had not targeted a doubling of primary exports from 2012 to 2025 and subsidized irrigation to boost cows' contributions. You see, they're talking out of both sides of the mouth. Well, and a lot of these countries want that. They want more production of milk so that they can have more export. Well, then the market goes south, and they've promoted the increase in production on one hand, but now, of course, that's the worst possible thing for this particular market. Even last week, when even optimists were pushing out the date of a break-even payout price, Primary Industry Minister Nathan Guy announced 3 new investments totaling $1.6 million into irrigation projects coming from the Ministry of Primary Industries Acceleration Fund, including the controversial Hawke's Bay project, whatever that is. Okay, as a government, we are strong supporters of irrigation and water storage, and we need some of that in California, and have signaled up a $400 million in total towards irrigation over time. Okay, in short, Mr. Guy was still saying to farmers, borrow more, long-term prospects are good, here is a subsidy. More subsidies. Ministers have so far refused to price water to farmers or their aid pollution of waterways from dense stocking and fertilizer use. See, they've got all these issues, this entanglement that goes on. And of course, the price being paid to dairy producers is so low that this makes, when there's no money, Doug said it best, you give me enough money on my farm, there isn't anything I cannot do. You take away my money on my farm, and there is nothing that I can do. And that's where everybody's at. They're going, we just don't have any alternatives here. Yes, we incentivize production of more milk. Yes, we want to export more milk. Yes, we want all of the benefits of that. But we don't want to pay producers. And, of course, we get ourselves into a situation where we're not being market responsive to milk production, and we've had plenty of time to become market responsive. If you look at our latest issue of the Agribusiness Dairyman at my-dairyman.com, we laid out a very extensive piece to provide a greater level of awareness that the signals were here. They were available to us. They are here now. And every indication in the world is that we're going long-term with this. We're somewhere between 3 and 5 years before price restoration, unless there's some huge changes in people's attitudes, and the change in Russian politics, Russian aggressiveness, China's politics, China's aggressiveness. China's got plenty of money because we ship them a ton every single month for everything we buy there. What floats their boat, we don't know exactly. No one can really figure it out. And so it's hard to predict. And so what we're concerned for is the profitability and sustainability of dairy producers. You don't need to get this weak for this long or get weaker, because there are other trials and tribulations ahead of you that are going to require you to be healthy, financially healthy, strengthened, with money in the bank. More milk in the tank isn't better than more money in the bank. We just need that to sink into the producer sector's head, that you've got to come to grips with the fact that you have a responsibility for what happens in the industry, even in a free market, that you don't need to sabotage your own operations and your own future by being non-responsive with milk production relative to profitable demand in the market. And then you've got other tools that are available to you that you can use to bless you in these difficult times when demand has diminished so greatly. So much of it gone compared to where we were in 12, 13, and into 14. So these articles are interesting, and so we're just a strong advocate of dairy producers being better informed, the purpose of the NewsHour magazine, of our monthly publications, are specifically to provide, and even these daily doses of what's going on, are specifically designed to give dairy producers the knowledge and understanding of what's going on so they can then do what they need to do to become and remain profitable. $22 for 36 months is our goal, and we advocate that based on what we've learned, been told and shown, taught by dairy producers all over the country, that level of productivity and the productivity of that, the long-term benefit of that, all of these things are achievable if dairy producers will, number one, work together. You've got to be concerned after your neighbor and your guy, not only down the street, but across the state and literally across the country, coast to coast, border to border. That in unison, you should be working together to name your price, because if you don't, they're not going to give it to you. We must be diligent in making sure that the product that we bring to the marketplace is the very best, all the time in every sector. We've got to do all we can to provide the best tasting, most nutritious milk, and therefore we advocate a fortification of all milk nationwide. Fortification of all milk nationwide. Why? To make it better tasting and more nutritious. That's what sells. In this world today, people want better taste and more nutrition. If they're going to consume calories and fat and these types of things, then they do that based on the fact that they're getting adequate or advanced nutrition out of that, the healthiest possible choices, and they want them to taste good. I guarantee you, eating food or foods that don't taste good are not going to be what people do. They want great taste. Then, of course, we've got to be market responsive when we've got too much milk and milk products in inventory. Dairy producers have to be willing to work with their manufacturers and processors and clear those inventories, and there is a way forward. Dairypricing.org, www.dairypricing.org can provide for dairy producers that better understanding of what is possible and why it is possible and what you should do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And it's just a management issue. This is not complicated. These are just management decisions that need to be made by producers in order to strengthen your position and your economic well-being so that you can withstand trials and tribulations. California's gone through and is still in a drought situation. Those are trying times. Thank goodness one dairy producer said to me, for the value of almonds and pistachios and walnuts over the last 5 years, as dairy has gone through its tumult, thank goodness, and the state has gone through the economic woes of a severe drought, 4 years in the making, that there were high prices for almonds and pistachios and walnuts, which poured billions of dollars into the valley, into the state, to help dairy producers and others, all of farming, withstand what has happened in 1 year just to dairy, where $14 billion in revenue are not paid to producers nationwide, $100 billion. Well, what's that mean in California? California is responsible for approximately 20% of the nation's production. That's a $20 billion hit in 15 in revenues, total revenues, farm revenues that did not come to the farm sector of California because of, why? Because too much milk in the market at any given time. Market responsive milk production by dairy producers makes the most sense. It is the cheapest alternative. 4%, even 10% more milk at half price does not justify half price for the other 90 to 95% of your milk production. There is no way that makes any sense, nor is that the best possible decision for your individual dairies. Now, as far as being geared up when things are better, guess what? It's always been a poor response by dairy producers to chase higher prices with more production. And so we've got to adopt a new plan there as well. If you were getting $22 for 36 months in a row, why would you mess with the formula? Why would you? We have a lot of other fish to fry, including growing our own markets. We have an opportunity in this country to chase after more domestic consumption and disappearance. The two ways to get that done, which if combined, based on the numbers that we've been shown by the dairy industry, is that you could gain a 15% increase in U.S. consumption and U.S. utilization of milk products by fortification. You would receive another 15% increase in U.S. consumption and production by introducing and seeing to it that dairy producers played a role, as do the processors, co-ops, manufacturers, and retailers, in getting more dairy products into the diets of approximately 20 to 25% of the population of this country, who, because of their financial and economic circumstances and who's providing dinner tonight, do not have dairy in their on the menu. It's not in their diet on a daily basis, meal by meal, day by day, week by week. And in fact, many go months and months and months without a serving of dairy in their diets. Why? Because it's not in the economic plan to do so. There is not anything dairy on the menu tonight, tomorrow morning, and the next day, and the next day. So there's opportunity there to introduce more dairy and dairy products to a segment of the U.S. population that are on assistance or receiving some sort of government-subsidized assistance, getting fed by the food banks, getting fed by the churches, getting fed by Feeding America. Feeding America alone, 49 million Americans feeding America. And so great people with infrastructure in place that we simply need to channel dairy, find a way financially to channel dairy into that menu stream. And no greater level of nutrition and protein could be provided. So those are the plans that we have offered in our 2020 agenda, and they are nothing new. These are things that we didn't think them all. We got taught them. We were shown them by producers and others within the industry that said, you know what, here's a way forward. Here's a better plan. You don't use a hammer and a crescent wrench all the time. There are other tools and other opportunities for dairy producers to use. And the Capra-Volstead Act of 1922 provides you the legal right to sit in common to address these issues, to determine the price of milk, to determine how much milk, to determine where it goes and what you do with it in any segment of the market. On the front end, on the back end, at the back door, you have an opportunity to be involved in that and to take full responsibility for everything that takes place. What's going on now is our fault. Excuse me, because you have an opportunity to fix it. We have been given that opportunity and shown that way by dairy producers. And you should get to know them and who they are and what they're all about. And then you need to develop a level of cooperation that provides necessary synergy to achieve these goals. $22 for 36 months is achievable. And so we'll go forward with that, and that's our whole focus today. Our cover story is all about improving the overall health of dairy producers so that they in turn can withstand any and all economic crisis that may come their way, up, down, good or bad. And it may be a drought, it may be a blizzard, it could be floods, and we see them all on a regular basis in any given year. Almost any given month, if you watch all of the news and information. So our job is to provide these windows of recognition and opportunity for you. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to do that. We'll come back tomorrow with the Agribusiness Dairyman News Hour magazine. It'll be Wednesday morning, the 16th of March, 2016. And until then, everyone have a great Tuesday and be safe. Bye-bye.
Imagine life without cheese. Okay, it's a horrible thought, but we're only pretending. Pasty pizzas, blah burritos, colorless casseroles, the mind boggles. Cheese transforms the eating experience. It can be creamy or crumbly, sharp or sweet, hot and gooey, or room temperature. With hundreds and hundreds of different varieties, cheese can really add zing to your meals. Behold the power of cheese, presented by the Allied Milk Producers.
Pico Dairy Automation is your partner for success, delivering unrestricted, durable, and profitable milking equipment to today's commercial dairy. To learn more, call us at 1-800-344-7166.
To learn or hear more, please join us for our daily News Hour magazine, your 1 hour all dairy connection. It is broadcast live every morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific and 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You can join the broadcast by calling 712-432-0900. Your conference PIN number is 666632#, or you can listen to the recorded call by dialing 712-432-0990, using your same PIN number for personal access. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. We truly believe you need to and can know more. Our job is to deliver more knowledge to dairy producers, believing that if knowledge is power, then applied knowledge is nuclear power. We'll see you on the call.